One of the things that could be killing your compositions is not having it balanced. Now, when a viewer looks at an image, instinctually they will look for balance. They don't even know what's happening. Within fractions of seconds, they are measuring up the visual weight of your image. They don't know what's happening, but if you know that they're doing it, then you can make the experience for them even better. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to balance this image. The Carbide and Carbon building is one of my favorite buildings in Chicago. And while I love this image, the balance is slightly off. Now, you might not see that the balance is off. There's something happening in our brain when we see it that says, something's just not right here. But what is it? It's not until we get some measuring tools out that we can actually see how unbalanced this is. So when you say to yourself, Blake, measuring tools in Photoshop? We do have measuring tools, several of them actually. If you press Command or Control R, you will see that we have rulers that go across the top and the sides of our image. When we have these rulers engaged, we can create guides on our image that will make it easier for us to see. Now, there's two areas that I could possibly balance this image off of. One of them is this corner right here and this corner over here, and the other one is the actual lettering on the image. So I'm going to talk through this and tell you why I'm going to balance this off of one over the other. First, let's start with the top of the image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag a guide from the top here. I just click inside this ruler and drag this down, and I'm going to get that right to the side here. Now I need this to be perfect, so I'm going to press the Control and Spacebar key or Command and Spacebar on a Mac, which will get me into the magnifying glass. From there, I can press V for the Move tool and then grab this guide and bring it right exactly where I want it to be. Now I'll press Control or Command and Spacebar again, right click and say Fit on Screen. Now we can see here that the image is butted up right up against this line here, creating that point there. And we have all this excess stuff over here. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to press C for my crop tool. And from here, all I got to do is press and hold Shift and then come in from the corner and go right exactly to that spot right there. And when I press Enter, I've got this image perfectly visually balanced off of the left side and the right side of the image. And that might seem great, and we might be pretty close to having this perfect, but I want to make sure that the C over here and the G over here have the same space on each side of the image, because if they don't, that is actually going to be more of a tell for the viewer than this area up here. If there was no lettering here, I would probably go off of this, but I need to go off of these letters just to see. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to zoom in, again, Control and Spacebar to zoom in here. And then I'm going to grab the ruler tool. Now, if you don't have the ruler tool over here, I like to have my ruler tool mixed in with a couple of my other random tools like the notepad and the color sampler and the eyedropper. Here's the ruler tool. If you don't have it in here, you're going to right click on these three dots and say Edit Toolbar. And once you do that, you might see the ruler tool on this side. So for the sake of demonstration, let's say I move the ruler tool over here. I don't want it here anymore. This is also how you manage your tools, so you can clean all this up. You'll notice that my tools might be cleaner than yours because I clean out my tools. It doesn't look like my garage though. My garage looks absolutely horrible. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab this ruler tool and just move it on over, and that puts the ruler tool right here. And I probably actually use the ruler tool more than I use any of these other ones. So if you put it at the top, it will be the topmost one. We'll press Done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the ruler tool. And when I do this, I can either measure from the edge of the canvas to the C or from the C to the edge of the canvas. I need to go to the farthest edge of the C. So I can do that by moving over a guide right to here. Boom. Perfect. And then when I grab here, the cool thing about this, if you go from this side to a guide, if you click, we have to get right on the edge of the image here, right here. Click here, press and hold Shift and move right over the edge of this C. Boom. And it'll just magnetize there. Now, if you look up here, that says 223 pixels on that length right there. So if I go to the other side, I need to measure from the G over here. I'm going to grab this, pull this over here like that. And then again, grab my ruler tool, click right here, and then move this over and get to 223. Now you'll see that there's actually, where is this right here? The measurement here is 201, 223. We are 22 pixels off. So if I commit to this as my balance here, yes, it's balanced along the top, but it's not balanced along the side. I would actually rather it be balanced off the side than off of the top. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to my history palette here, and I'm going to go back to where I initially did my crop, which is right back here. Okay, so now I need to redo all those guides, which is fine anyway, because it's good for you for repetition to understand this stuff. If I want to get rid of the guides that are here because this guide is no longer helpful to me, I'll press Command or Control H. That'll get rid of that guide. So instead of balancing off of the edge of the image up here, we're going to balance off of the letters. So I'm going to press Command or Control and Spacebar, click and drag to zoom in, and I'm going to make a guide that goes right to my letter C here, right to the edge. And again, I'm going to use my ruler tool here, and I will measure right from here. It was about 223 pixels. We'll measure it again because, you measure twice and cut once. That's what they say. Move this over here. We're at about 220. The thing is here is if you don't measure perfectly from the edge of this, which I might not have done, that might be where the extra 3 pixels came in. But that looks perfect now. So then let's move over here. Let's make ourselves a guide that goes right to the edge of the G. Okay. And then we're going to click right here, press and hold Shift, and go until we see 220 pixels. Just be right about and here. Perfect. Okay. So now here's a very important tip. If I were to go ahead and engage the crop tool right now and try to go to this ruler, guess what's going to happen? The ruler is going to, boom, disappear because this is a visual overlay, just like your crop is a visual overlay. So the crop is going to override this visual overlay. So what we need to do is drag a guide over here, right to the edge of that ruler. Now what we can do is press C for the crop tool and then bring this on in and bam, now we know we have this perfectly measured off of the letters. Now, why would I choose the letters over the top of the building? Now, the reason why I would choose the letters is because visually speaking, what the viewer is going to look at first are things that they recognize. So that would be people's faces, details. And one of the things that they really look at first and foremost over everything though is text, because we are taught from a very early age that if we see letters, we have to read them. Right? So then we just look around, we just start reading everything and we don't even realize that we're doing it. So when someone sees letters in an image, the first thing that they're going to do is go to those letters and read them, and then they'll read the rest of the image. It's very rare that they'll read the image first and then read the letters because the letters are so prominent. And again, from grade school, we are taught to read immediately when we see letters. Now, if you were astute and paying attention, you'll notice one other thing that's out of balance. But look over here on this side of the image, we have this little dash in front of the carbon and carbide building. If we look over on this side, we don't. It's missing. Actually, I looked up an older picture of the carbon and carbide building, and that was actually there on the opposite side. So what I did was I added it there using the details from the opposite side, and I matched them perfectly with the curves adjustment layer. I'm not going to show that in this video. If you want to see how to match your color perfectly with a curves adjustment layer, this is the video that you're going to want to watch in the description below, or click right here. If you like this, please consider subscribing. I like to take difficult things in Photoshop and make them seemingly simple so you can use them in your workflow today.